Sasser is on your left. Davis is on your right. True name Nemesis is what Sasser's got going on. A couple of cards in Sasser's hand that he's flicking through. For Davis, he's going to sacrifice a Flooded Strand as we join this game with Sasser at 13. Jim sliding down to 16 right now because of the fetch. Sasser with a couple of lands on the battlefield there in Volcanic Island ×2, Underground Sea, Scalding Tarn. Two islands and a plains here for Jim. Jim is going to play a Snapcaster Mage. And now he'll play everybody's favorite cantrip, Portent. Nah, no,
absolutely
he won't.
not.
Nope.
Go take that somewhere else.
Let's go over to Drake Sasser. True name going to get in there for 3. That's the easy part. What comes next here for Drake? It'll be a Ponder. That's going to resolve. So he'll look at the top 3 cards. He's happy enough with these. He'll draw them. That was a quick Ponder, too. We'll pass the turn back over to Davis.
Drake has a can barely be bothered mannerism about him that I find very appealing.
Here's an attack for 2.
I do not believe I watched him play Magic.
This is my first time.
But I think that he and I would find a lot in common.
Davis is going to sacrifice a fetch, fall down to 12.
We've seen this before where, you know, Davis has a lot of powerful cards. He is favored as the game drags up, but he is soft to True Name Nemesis. Got a couple Council's Judgments. He's got his sweepers, but you can see a hand of Monastery Mentor, some Counterspells, Jace the Mind Sculptor. And this fetch land's actually important. It takes Davis from 13 to 12, and he's getting hit in multiples of 3. The bolts are also, in essence, multiples of 3.
And he's got to go get a Tundra now, too, which is interesting because I'm sure he's thinking, my deck is really good against Wasteland. I don't want to get Wastelanded, and losing this land would be really bad news. He's going to go to Monastery Mentor here. Yes, he will. See if this resolves. Jim with multiple copies of Flusterstorm in hand, along with a Swords of Plowshares. So he's got some things going on. And with Sasser at 11 already, he's going to go with, he was thinking about Dazen. He was thinking about it. Jim shuffling between those Flusterstorms, that Jace, Path, Swords, a lot of different cards here in Davis's hand. I don't know what Sasser's going to do here. He's really thinking about dazing here. He's going to play Force of Will. Exiling Daze. So that's spell 2, so Flusterstorm would be for 3.
Yep. Meaning that Drake can pay for it.
Mm-hmm. That's exiled. Get that weak stuff out of here. All right, Mentor down. All right, back over to Sasser, who kept with Ponder, remember. He's going to sack a fetch now. Cantripping? Yeah. Taxiing Probe. There's Jim's hand. Good to have the info, of course. 2 Flusterstorms, Swords, Path, Jace.
So nothing to do about this True Name Nemesis. Worth noting that Jim has the ability to plow his own Snapcaster Mage, so the clock is a little bit more complicated than just 4 turns.
And I'll say this too, the ability to path his Snapcaster Mage if he needs another land.
Yeah. Also,
which, I don't know if that's going to come up, but it could. Here comes True Name. Another Probe. Already know the goods.
So he's drawn his own Flusterstorm.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got a Bolt in hand. That's 1 turn off the clock, potentially.
And Jim will untap, maybe on the hunt for a Terminus. Of course, Council's Judgment is very appealing. Portent is medium.
Redraw.
Mm-hmm, yes. The Slow Trip. In for 2. Sasser down to 7. Portent. Target myself. Hit 1, 2, 3. One of those is a white card.
I believe it's Terminus.
He'll leave him.
Double, yeah, you know.
Let's get another look just to make sure.
You know, I did just double checking.
Because I really need this to resolve. Yep, Slow Trip. There's Terminus. Pay it with the Plains. And he's got enough to pay for Flusterstorm. At least for right now.
Yep. I mean, Sasser here with Brainstorms and Bolts can add to the stack a little bit. Seems good to fight over this. I mean, you know Davis's hand from the Gataxian Probes last turn does not have an answer to True Name Nemesis.
Mm-hmm. Pretty big deal. No fight. Let's go back over to Drake.
Well, now getting through that is a big deal for Davis, of course, because all the other threats in Sasser's deck pretty easy contained. It's got Jace's, Plow, Path to Exile. Just really wasn't equipped to handle True Name Nemesis specifically.
Here's another Underground Sea. Yeah, that was the biggest issue for sure. All right, here's Young Pyromancer. That'll resolve. Follow up. Bolt you. Two spells in the stack. I think he wants to use Path, potentially. He's going to go with Swords.
Well, I was curious if he was just going to wait until next turn so he wasn't fighting a big fight against an opposing Flusterstorm, but I guess because Davis has his own Flusterstorms, he's okay brawling this turn.
There's Flusterstorm. Going after a bunch of Swords. So there's your stack. Yeah, so there's a lot of spells because the Terminus started the turn off too.
And Sasser in this spot's kind of happy just to, even if he ends up losing on Pyromancer, you know Davis's leftovers are basically 1-for-1 removal spells, and Jace, which is effectively a 1-for-1 removal spell as an unsummon. So if he can cash in these spells at all on a 1-for-1 level and get an elemental for his trouble each time, that can help him try to weather the storm of Swords to Plowshares and Paths and Jaces and so forth.
So the storm count looks to be 5.
To say nothing of, the young Pyromancer actually might survive here.
Yeah, it could.
Yeah.
It definitely could. And the cards that Davis is drawing are not good.
Right, he has 2 lands coming. He does get a shuffle, I believe. One of the ones on top is a fetch, so he gets another shot at it. But his hand will just be the Jace, the Path, and the Flusterstorms, which is not great against a sea of elemental tokens.
Well, with all of this, I think if I'm Jim here, then I think my Swords gets countered with the because of the Flusterstorms, and I think I just Flusterstorm the Bolt then.
Yeah.
To keep my life total at 9.
That makes sense.
And then I untap, I path your young Pyromancer, and then, you know.
I've got a Jace I gotta try to set up, and, you know, some draw steps.
Well, it's actually not. If Drake has nothing, you know, you can just path it. You can path the young Pyromancer, play Jace, bounce a token, and,
right.
you know, then, you know, you got a token staring down a Jace at either 9 or 8 life, depending on what the top card of his deck is. But Storm count is 6 now, and it's always difficult to navigate Flusterstorm on Flusterstorms. This is always a little bit confusing.
Yeah, and it requires really, you know, the particulars of how this is getting announced, so I don't want to speculate on what's going where and what have you.
Likewise. But it looks like Jim is doing a decent job of targeting bolts here. Yeah. He just wants to make sure that this gets countered. So bolt down. Yeah, all the Flusterstorms were there, all the Flusterstorms were there. And now, as the dust settles, young Pyromancer 2 tokens. Okay. You see Jim's hand, which we still know. Cabal Therapy. Okay.
All right, never mind. This is much better for Sasser. We were unaware of the therapy down in the graveyard there.
Yep.
You can name Jace the Mind Sculptor or Path.
He's going to name Path.
Yep.
Yeah, this gets hard now.
You know, this Jace is not worth a whole lot without a sweeper. But if Davis finds a sweeper, then the coast may be clear for Jace.
And we know Jim's drawing a land. You're Misty. He can play that and play around Daze. So here's Jace. Yep, so he gets to play around Daze. Well, it's good for Jim.
Well, this is also very good for Sasser, because I was going to say, well, Davis can go and Fate Seal, survive the hit from everything, untap Brainstorm, and get a lot of looks. Now he just sort of has to cut his losses, I believe, and just brainstorm. Yeah. Which is not too bad. And Sasser's now drawing the Lightning Bolt for a kill.
Jim's already played his land for the turn. So that days actually isn't too bad.
Nope, all told, for a turn 12 days or whatever, this is better than most.
Yeah. Now what's interesting here too is that Jim could consider Fate Sealing himself, bring it up to 5, and then making all the creatures go there, but I don't think that that's very good.
I think that Jim needs to maximize his shot at Terminus, which is why he has to Brainstorm.
Yep.
Supreme Verdict as well, but you know,
it's all the same. Yeah,
he can't get too fancy here.
Dave's gonna put 2 cards back on top. Lightning Bolt's game over. We know that.
And I don't think the top of his deck was much help.
Nah, it's a Counterspell Vendilion Clique land. It was not very good at all. Sasser will draw. We know he's got a land. Didn't get a great look at what he drew.
It was Deathrite.
So he'll deal 3 over there. 2 to Jim. Jim's going to fall down to 6. Is this Deathrite Shaman? Nope, he's just going to play a land. Pass turn back. He doesn't want to deploy anything else, and he shouldn't. Yep. It's just much too risky, as Jim's going to draw a card. Flusterstorm. He's got that plus fetch plus V-click. He might have to V-click himself.
Yeah, he may have to shuffle his deck, V-click himself, and hope. Because if he pulls the trigger on that Misty Rainforest, now this attack is lethal.
Yep. let's crack it.
Yep, he's going for broke here. I mean, this is the hope here is that he can click himself into Terminus.
Got some other nice things you can find too, honestly. Snapcaster. I mean, Terminus I think is the best.
Yeah, he's expending so many resources on this. Even Snapcaster Mage on a plow is, like, that's not bad. Although I suppose with Sasser at 6, if you had enough of a cushion, you could try to race with the click.
Right.
You know, you path and you block if you hit Snapcaster Mage and your click kills in 2 turns.
On Sasser's upkeep, V-Click. You actually draw Force. Jace. Jace. He's got to Fluster Storm that.
Yeah, but even if he Fluster Storms here, now he can't click himself into anything.
Oh, yeah,
That's the last
yeah.
card in his hand.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got no cards. Drake, this is in his upkeep, so he draws a card for the turn. Yep. Bunch of knuckleheads are going to attack. You got
Bolt is the draw, and I think that shuts the door and everything.
Bolt. He drew Bolt.
Yeah.
Oof.
He has to like blind predict into Counterspell plus Sweeper or something
That's
now.
super easy.
Yeah, it's asking a lot here.
What did Jim draw? Brainstorm. 1 is Predict.
Yes.
2
yes.
is Mentor.
Yes.
3 is Council's Judgment.
Okay, so you can predict, but either one of those draws is bad.
Yeah. Yeah. He can't do much here.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a way for him to sequence anything well. I guess he'd have to, so he'd have to predict now, draw 2 cards.
And one of them's bad. So
one of them's bad. Then the next one has to be like Portent. Portent would have to find Terminus, and then Slow Trip.
Yeah, and it has to involve like Brainstorm into Terminus, and then Sasser not kill you in response somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know. Jim's gonna figure out the one line that exists. I don't think he can cover the Lightning Bolt.
Yeah, so he's got to predict now. Yeah, do it with an island. So either Council's Judgment or this is going to go away. Yep, it's going to be Council's Judgment. So Mentor plus X. X is an island. Island is no good. So all the fun is over. Here's Mentor. Pass the turn back. Sasser going to quickly untap, draw, and probably just attack with everything. That's all he really needs to do, and that is going to do it. Jim Davis, he shows him 2 bolts. Jim Davis is going to win this match here over Trick Sasser.